Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood. I'm here to pitch the Dark Shadows video game. This was not going to be easy for me to do, simply because a video game is about preference. Me personally, I prefer role-playing games, so I guess that's something I would want to see with a Dark Shadows video game. It's sort of more like an interactive role-playing game where you're not one character, you're many different characters. Basically, take the main characters and switch between them. Yes, you get to be Carolyn, Elizabeth, Victoria, Barnabas, Willie. And yes, there are different things for you to do. You know how Barnabas would ask Willie to do something that's serious? Willie, go dig up that body. Well, guess who gets to dig up that body is Willie Loomis. Yes, you. Yes, you, the gamer. Willie, dispose of that calf. Oh my God, could you imagine? There'd be a light coming on the roof. Barnabas, Barnabas, I think, what? Bam, bam. Could you imagine listen, I don't know if I would want a cutscene for the beatdown Barnabas would give Willie. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want the cutscene. I just want to be able to, you get to be Barnabas beating Willie with a cane. I would love it. I would love it. I could see this like perfectly. Hit him harder. R2. Or if you're on PC, whatever the fuck is. I don't play it too many games on PC. I have a console, but as you can tell. So, would you get to be a sheriff? Sheriff George Patterson? Sure, you could be the sheriff and have a gun and stuff. To me, though, if you get to be a cop in this game, if you get to be a sheriff, or maybe you get to create your own cop or different characters, cops should have deduction boards. Like, if they're gonna like have to figure out a crime and stuff, like this clue links to this one, you have it up on a board. The one thing I would definitely want to see is obviously the atmosphere in a Dark Shadows game. I'm talking the fog, the wind, the lightning, just being able to walk on the grounds of Collinwood and seeing Widow's Hill and that long drop to those jagged rocks below would be creepy as hell, especially at night. Um, my God, could you imagine though if your character is the start of the game, or sort of a character gets you're standing at the edge of Widow's Hill, you're looking out, and then boom, you go over, and you were pushed, but you don't know who you were pushed by. That could be an element to the game too. Another element to the game, obviously, would be Eagle Hill Cemetery and the old house. Look, everything Dark Shadows could be could literally be in this game. Could you imagine where you could actually play as a Bert Devlin or Angelique? So, to me, a spell isn't. Could you imagine having to do an incantation or a spell as Angelique? That would be a lot of fun. I can only imagine what that would look like in the game, right? Sorry. But I do think the one thing I would want to see though too is create players, is where you could sort of create your own character and maybe start fresh or start from a character you don't know, because I think it would be all too. The reason I say interchangeable, another thing though too is with the familiar characters, the characters need to be where you're going from character to character, where it's interchangeable, where you could switch to character. And there's going to be moments where you just cannot be Barnabas, obviously, during the day. And there's going to be moments where you have to do things with certain characters to get through the day. I'm talking each and every character. That to me could be sort of a fun way. And I have a developer who could easily do a Dark Shadows game. I don't think they would ever do one, but Definitely Rockstar. If you've played Red Dead Redemption, the Red Dead Redemption games like I have, or Grand Theft Auto, you know Rockstar knows how to do interchangeable characters really well, especially in Grand Theft. But and they know how to nail an atmosphere. That's for damn sure. I would love to. Another thing I would love to see, have a specific, when you get to be Julia Hoffman, like for Julia, for your interchangeable would not be Dave Woodard. It would be, maybe you could create a male nurse for her to interact with, and you're that character you're interacting with, and you could sort of jot down what your suspicions about her are. Like, man, this lady's weird. I don't know. There would be so many elements to this game. It would be creepy, and yes, there would be death. Could you imagine having to be Barnabas and go out and like bite somebody? Up, you have to sneak and do it. No one can see you. No one can see you. There, so there would have to be, not just with Barnabas, but with other characters too. There would have to be stealth elements where you couldn't be seen at times, which that's something I would love. If you've ever played Thief or Thief 2, recommended. Um, or Alien Isolation, recommended. So, again, there could be stealth elements. Obviously, the Blue Well Tavern would definitely be a haven of sorts. Could you imagine going up to the bar? Give me a beer. Yeah, I'm not leaving this place. What time you close? Oh, 2. Oh, come on. I think that would be funny. I would love to see that design in that video game where you, and that's the thing too. It wouldn't be, this game would not be cutscene heavy. Cutscenes would only happen if they were actually needed. I don't feel you need too many like, I would say maybe a cutscene would happen maybe when the first time you would actually do something with a main character. Let's say cast a spell with Angelique. Let's say bite somebody with Barnabas. That I could see. But after that, no. Uh, so not too many cutscenes. You open a door, you open the door and it opens. Whether it's a car going into the Blue Well, going into the Great House, going into the Old House. Would Barnabas already be out in the game? Um, I think it would be all too cool to be Willie Loomis and open the coffin and get your throat choked. So I would definitely say, have you sort of be Willie Loomis, hunting for the jewels, and then you open the coffin. How cool would that be? How cool? How terrifying? You know what's going to happen, right? But you're like, oh, screw it. God, I would love to see that in a game. I would love it. Love it. Um, what am I missing? Deduction board. I know I'm probably missing something. Definitely key character design, not just with the familiar characters, but with your character, with a character you might create. I definitely think create a character should be an option. I've mentioned this, but key character design, obviously, gameplay design would have to be tops. Again, Widow's Hill, you know, Banger, Collinsport Inn, Banger Main for Wincliffe, but for Collinsport Inn, the sheriff's office, the cannery. Yes, the cannery. Yes, you would be able to go to the cannery, um, and actually maybe work in there if you were a creative player. That would be an interesting thing to do. At least for me. But other than that, another element, yeah, you would be able to drive a car, check the bleeder valve, check check the brake line, especially if you're Roger. Oh my lord. So, trying to think if there's anything I missed that could be in the game. The one thing I wouldn't want to see in a Dark Shadows game though, is, and this happens with certain games, is there would be three things I wouldn't want in a Dark Shadows game. One, too many cutscenes. Number two, lag. Sometimes games, no matter how good the designer, or even if the designer is a double A or triple A, sometimes you just see lag in games simply because of the way the game was designed, and that happens, and that's something I wouldn't want to see. Another thing, I think every game has goof ups pretty much. Some call that lag too, but to me, I definitely would want Dark Shadows well scored and use Robert Cobert's score. I definitely would want that. You know, that's something I would want. I'm trying to think of a third thing I didn't want, and I forgot about it. Oh, lack of detail. And yes, this does happen in some games where they just miss the tiniest detail that you know is going to drive you nuts. Sometimes that happens. So I definitely would love to see a Dark Shadows video game. What would you guys want to see in a Dark Shadows video game? Please let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.